Sleepy town of Eastbrook, the underpinnings of horror begin not with a scream but with something almost laughably harmless, a slow, creeping alien slime known only as the ick, a parasitic plant-like organism that spreads, slowly at first, across lawns, cracks in sidewalks, abandoned buildings, unseen until it becomes impossible to ignore, and it is in this creeping horror that we meet Hank Wallace, once the high school football hero whose leg was shattered by the ick during a game, ending his dreams and leaving him with wounds both physical and emotional. Hank, now years later, still in Eastbrook, is a science teacher, living in the shadow of what could have been, haunted by failure, estranged from old love, and bitter that life moved on without him. His former girlfriend, Stacy, long gone romantically, is now married to Ted Kim, the former rival, and together they have a daughter, Grace, who attends Hank's school, and as truths unravel, Hank begins to suspect that Grace may be his own child, a possibility born of stolen moments and timing he cannot ignore, a saliva sample from a class assignment becoming a key to identity, to redemption, and to lost chance. Meanwhile, the ick grows worse. What was once merely an odd garden fungus becomes monstrous, infecting people, warping flesh, spreading in darkness, driven back only by UV light, dragged out of the shadows at night in grotesque forms, bodies overtaken, townspeople either too blinded by apathy, nostalgia, social media trends, or petty grievances to pay attention, until the slime becomes a full-scale bio-alien threat. Hank, Grace, and their allies, Grace's friends Heather and Griffin, loyal but terrified, are forced into survival mode when the ick overrun a house party, when the prom, meant to be a night of meaning and ritual, becomes a bloodied nightmare, when teachers and classmates alike are consumed or transformed. Stacy, torn between her past with Hank and her responsibility to Grace and Ted, finds herself caught in the middle, and in a moment of horror, she is pulled into the underbelly of the ick's dominion, lost beneath ground, vanishing in the very soil she once called safe. Hank wrestles not only with the encroaching monster but with guilt, regret, with wanting to be more than the broken athlete he once was, deciding that this time he must act, setting up floodlights in the football stadium, using the lights as literal beacons against the darkness, teaming up with Grace, their bond shaped by suspicion, anger, and something fragile but real, risking everything in abandoned cars overturned by slime, in midnight chases, in confrontations where the ick bursts through walls and rooms, trading dialogue for survival, fear for action. In the climax, the ick, now a massive, tentacled horror rising from the field, threatens to swallow the town, but as dawn breaks, Hank, Grace, Heather, and Griffin reach the height of a radio tower, battered, exhausted, and watch as sunlight. That long-feared element, forces the ick into stasis, freezing its growth, its spread, buying Eastbrook time. In the aftermath, the town, shaken and scarred, begins to adapt, installing UV lights, erecting floodlights, trying to reclaim normality. Grace, closer to Hank now, reveals she did send that sample, and though the results are mailed, their meaning looms larger than the paper. It is hope, belonging, the idea that this broken man might be more than his regrets. Across this grotesque comedy horror spectacle, the characters reveal their truths. Hank, foolish at times, broken, frighteningly human. Grace, sharp, angry, skeptical but vulnerable. Stacy, caught between her ambitions, her past, and her maternal crisis. Ted, the complacent antagonist of comfort. Heather and Griffin as echoes of teenage loyalty and fear, and the ick itself, more than monster, a mirror of indifference, of darkness creeping when people close their eyes. It lures you with slime and absurdity, with grotesque effects and gross-out moments, but it holds you with heartbreak, with what it means to fight for something you almost lost, to confront the monster within and without, to reach for light even when the darkness feels infinite. As the sun rises over the battered town of Eastbrook, the ick lies dormant, coiled like a dying serpent beneath the scorched soil, its slimy tendrils shrinking under the relentless gaze of daylight. The football field, once a symbol of triumph and tradition, now stands as the battlefield where fate, family, and fear collided. Grace, still smeared in grime and bruises, stands beside Hank, her eyes meeting his not with certainty, but with recognition, of survival, of shared blood, and maybe of a future that doesn't repeat the past. In his trembling hand,